All right. Shabbat shalom, shalom, everyone. Hello. Tom, tell everybody hello.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom.
It's my. We are today. It's before Shabbos, so I'm kind of like wanted to get this conversation in with Tom because we had a conversation. I think it was either last Thursday or Friday, in which Tom was sharing with me some stories of three particular dreams that he had, and to me, dreams are very important because dreams are a form of the way the Creator either talks with us or deals with us or really puts it on our hearts to think or search or in any way get our attention in some way. So, Tom, if you would take time to tell us, because they're not real long, but the three dreams, I don't care what order you feel like you need to share them in or whatever, but go ahead and please share the dreams that you have.
All right. Well, the first dream I had was, let's see, how can I do this? I was standing, uh, kind of like in what I would call a Merkava, a chariot. I was brought by the Spirit into this place to be able to see. And as I looked, I saw a boat that was up on shore. And I saw the weather was beginning to change. The weather was beginning to change. And then to my right was a house. As I continued to look at the boat, a voice came from behind me and said, "It's time to prepare for winter. Winter's coming and you need to be ready." So I heard that, looked around, and I could see that the snow was beginning to fly. And then I looked to my right, and there was this house. And all of a sudden, I'm transported inside of this house, and I'm looking around, and the door flies open in the house, and it's cold. It's cold. And the voice comes to me. It says, "Make sure you shut the door. Shut the door so that you don't let the warmth of your house out, and it won't do any good. Just shut the door and keep the warmth in your house. Do not let the cold weather spoil your warmth in your home." That was the first dream. The second dream was, let's see, I'm trying to remember now. They kind of all go together here. The second dream was I saw this great big huge, it looked like the floor of a gymnasium, a wooden floor. And I looked around, and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing all kinds of debris and junk that's just laying all over the place. And I'm thinking, boy, this is a mess. And all of a sudden, this one woman comes, and she's pushing this big broom, and she was cleaning up the floor of some type of a big doing that had existed previous to that. And it was her responsibility to clean it up. It was a big broom, it was a huge floor, and the floor was made out of wood. Maybe, Mike, you would want to share one of your dreams, and then I'll try and remember the other one here, too. The one about the cave, is that what you're thinking?
Kay, but you remember that other one with the floor? She basically said that this mess is that it was real bad, but we would have to clean it up or something like that.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly what it was. Yep,
right.
yep,
That basically, and the way I interpreted it when you told me was the mess that we're seeing around us right now with circumstances and everything. That
yep,
and I don't use this word lightly or in any way, but the righteous or those that make it through or whatever will be the ones
yep.
that have to clean up this mess. And you described it as a hideous mess. It wasn't just like
Oh,
trash; it was
yep.
hideous. And that basically the righteous would have to be the ones to have to clean this up. And I don't in any way say that in anybody. I'm just saying that's the way I received what you said in the dream. So go
Oh,
ahead and say the third one now.
okay. There's four. The one about the
Okay,
cave, I'll get
please.
into that one.
Okay, good.
And then I had another dream, and this is all in one night. All in one night, I'm having these dreams, and I'm standing. I'm being transported. I can feel the transporting as I'm sound asleep, and I'm being transported, and I'm standing, and I'm looking at this huge, vast wooded area. And in this vast wooded area, there were a number of tall trees.
Right.
And to my right again, as I look to my right, I see this huge fence. It's a tinsel wire fence with all kinds of electricity going through it. It was a real high fence. I mean, extremely high. And I felt the words come to me that you'll be able to jump over this. that you don't have to worry. And so as I looked around in this vast expanse of area with all these trees, all of a sudden I was very conscious and aware of wild animals coming. And these wild, vicious animals were chasing domesticated animals. And as I watched, I saw one domesticated animal climbed up a tree thinking it would be safe, and it wasn't. So one of these other wild animals came and grabbed a hold of it, killed it instantly, and pulled it down and began to eat its flesh. And then the scene changes, and as I look, I see a yellow tiger coming at me. And I'm thinking, I'm going to take care of this. I put my foot up, and that yellow tiger stopped, and there were a bunch of other wild animals behind it. It stopped, looked, and it took off in fear. And then I woke up from the dream. Now that's dream number 3. I can share number 4 about the cave if you'd like.
Do it.
Okay, here's number 4. I was standing and watching. Should I say who was in the dream, Mike?
Please, go ahead.
Okay, I was standing looking, and I'm looking at, and you were in a cave, Mike. And outside of the cave, God was saying, come on out here and let's spend some time. I want to talk with you. And then there was the, I don't feel like coming out of this cave. And so all of a sudden I'm transporting and I'm standing there right next to you. And the call again comes, says, come on out here, guys. I'd like to talk with you. And I'm thinking, I don't want to go out there. And then God says to me, he says, well, I'll come in and be with you guys and talk to you guys then. I'll come into your cave. And that was the end of the dream. So there you go. There's 4 of them.
What you didn't include was just the fact that you didn't feel no condemnation when we didn't want to come out. That God was not like, come on, guys, you've got to come out here and everything like that. But he was more very polite in coming in with us and wanting to fellowship and stuff with us inside the cave. Well, those were 3 powerful dreams. And I had one, well, the past 2 weeks, I've had interesting things happen to me, like 2 deer run in front of my work truck on the way to work and killing both of them. And I hate that. I hate that because it's such a waste of everything, and plus it hurts your vehicle. And God forbid if something should happen and I lost control or something like that. But I was told today by a friend of mine that dreams and deer, and I won't go through the whole in-depth. It was a long in-depth thing, but he said. But basically, what he said was deer symbolized basically the design, the plan of life. And that basically what you said within your dream of the cave, of me not wanting to come out, that there's something happening that I need to come out of. And the instance of the deer hitting my truck is almost a situation of them like, and it's not, the deer died, so I'm not making light of this situation, but it's almost like a sign that I need to break through, I need to come out of, I need to step out of, or the Creator is fixing to give me knowledge that I have been waiting for, or something like that. That's no big deal. What happened was the other night in my dream was the same thing you said when you looked down and saw a basketball court or some kind of gym floor that you saw the wood. It was the same thing, but I saw a humongous like swimming pool, and then the pool turned into an ocean. You know how dreams turn into like that. And I was somehow hovering over a bridge, is all I can tell you. I don't know any more details. But I saw blobs of stuff start coming out of the water. And my first thought is zombies from like Walking Dead. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. We are fixing to, there's an apocalypse coming or something like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I kept on watching, and all of a sudden I saw beautiful human beings with their arms stretched forth coming out of the water. And my fear and my anxiety turned to like I was excited to see what was going on because I knew something was happening. So basically, I knew what was going on with the dream of the cave and then with this situation, because Carl Jung taught that water is a sign of purification, Tom. And I know you know this. And, it's like baptism, mikvah, whatever. It all represents the cleaning, the refreshing, the the purification. And I named this video we're doing, I think I named it something like, we got to make a choice. The choice is coming when we must choose. And I know we've been talking a lot, especially with Amir Abar, about, the coming crisis and all the things that we see coming at us from the governments and from society and peer pressure and economic pressure and anxiety and everything. I really feel like, Tom, we are in a period of time that we have to make a choice as a species, spiritually, myself and you, Tom, yourself, and other people that are watching the video, has to make a choice of whether their time, if they're ready to make that elevation with the Creator, or we're not going to. And I almost feel like your dream with the floor with the trash all over it. If we don't choose to make the right decision, I don't know what will happen if we don't, as a unit, make that correct decision. And I'm not speaking on religion. I'm not talking about Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism. I don't care about any of that. I'm talking about the right moral decision that we need to make between us and our Creator. And that's what we have to do, is we have to make that decision to make the right decision. And that's what me and you were getting into with our conversation on the phone. And you said, we've got to get this on video. We've got to get this on tape because there's people that need to hear this. And I really believe that's where we're at, is we are at a point in time, we know we came from the animalistic nature to a point till we come to where we're materialistic, and then we go from materialistic till the 1900s. We become spiritual, and then we become, I don't know where we're going next. I'm afraid to know where we're going to go next. But I really believe that we as a species, spirit, soul, are at a point now that we're fixing to have to make a major decision.
I agree with you. Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you mentioned the water and the beautiful beings that come out of the water, because one of the things that one aspect of things is from the vision I've had of the 22 Hebrew letters. I think of the letter Mem, which speaks of water, the picture of water. But I also look at the letter Mem as the minimal point of energy, at a humbling place. And of course, all life comes out of that humbling place, that water, that Mem. That's where the life comes out of that. So I'm thinking, well, that's pretty encouraging, because there's going to be a lot of beautiful people that are going to emerge out of the minimal place of energy, out of that place where I don't know what to do. I'm just lost. I'm done. I'm drowning in this water. And yet I find that is very encouraging, and that there are going to be people who are going to make those choices and are going to come out as beautiful beings out of that water, filled with tremendous life. That's one thing that comes to me.
Well, there's a movie on I think it's Netflix, and I recommend everybody to watch it. It's called Mary Magdalene, and it's not the traditional story that you see of Jesus and the regular things. It deals more from her vantage point. And the weird thing is the movie starts out with her in the water, making, silhouette movements and stuff, and like no destination, just kind of like moving through the water. And you're like watching this movie at the beginning, like, what the hell? What is this got to do with anything? But at the end of the movie, and I'm not going to give it away, you fully understand what's going on. And then when I had the dream of I don't know how many thousands of people that I saw coming out of the water or coming up from the water. I believe, Tom, that we are fixing to see a shift. I like that word, shift, in consciousness, that where people are no longer satisfied within their box of religion, not discouraged in any boxes, not stepping on any boxes, not blaspheme, not any way talking about anybody's box that they're in. But I believe people are wanting more now than they've ever been. They've heard the stories. If you've been in Christianity, you've heard your whole life that, Jesus says that the kingdom of heaven is near, the kingdom of heaven is near, and all this stuff. And the whole time you missed the whole fact that the kingdom of heaven was within inside you. That Christ nature, that Mashiach nature in Judaism is within inside you. And now you see Jews and Christians looking for a physical Messiah to come when I think really we miss the point in realizing that the divine is within us already, that we are the tabernacles now, that spirit of
Mhm.
Christ, or that spirit of Mashiach, that spirit of divinity, because we are divinity. And it, and as you
Mhm.
know, as you
Mhm.
talk to David Ben-Shul also, that in Genesis 1 and 2, we see the beautiful plan of creation, of how the Creator breathed his breath within the mortal flesh. And we know that there was not just two people on earth. We know that somehow God chose these two, or two whatever, and put his spirit within them, which separated them from everybody else. And now what's happened, Tom, I believe, is many people don't realize that they are divinity. They are divine. They are part of the Creator. They don't have to seek God because God is within, but because
Yeah.
of the illusions of this world, the illusions of pressures of government and things of this nature, we miss the whole point, Tom. We miss it.
I like what you're having to say there too, because if you think of water again, water is very malleable, if I could use that term. In other words, it'll receive whatever you put
Yes.
into it. And I think about the graciousness of the
Yes.
fact that God comes from outside of the cave and into our watery environment, and He meets us
Right.
right where we're at, and then He
Right.
brings us out as beautiful creatures. And I can't look at anybody around me and say, hey, and judge them and say, well, you're not doing what you should be doing. Because what I'm thinking is that we're all enshrouded by this huge, vast body of water, and that the intention is to bring us to that place of minimal energy and to realize that, hey, I think it's the key to change. I really do. I really think it's the key to change is being humbled. And there's a study on water that was written by a Japanese fellow, and he talks about the different signatures that the water can contain, and the different sounds that come forth that can leave the imprint. And I think, well, we're 70% water, right? We're
Right.
supposedly made up of 70% water, and that's not
Right.
a bad thing. That's a good thing, which is kind of like a foundation, kind of like a foundation.
Right. Well, another thing too, within that movie, they actually probably showed more of the truth of the social justices that was going on at that day. That the women could not be baptized with the men. In other words, you didn't have that cross.
Hmm.
That the women had to do their thing, and the
Yeah,
women were
yeah,
feeling basically betrayed because they could not be baptized with the men. And they, basically Jesus said, "You handle the women, I got the men," but it showed that the water was for everybody, and it wasn't
yeah,
segregated. It's not segregated like we think
yeah,
today. Today we think,
yeah,
well, if you're not a Christian, you're not going wherever to heaven. If you're not a Jew,
yeah,
you're not going to heaven. If you're not
yeah, yeah.
Islamic, you're certainly not going to heaven. If you're not a
Hmm.
Sikh, you're not. You know what I'm saying. So the
I do.
boxes, we need to be in the water, like you said. We're all in aquariums, all we are anyway. The Creator's watching
Yeah.
us how we act in this thing, and I think sometimes we need to break out of the box that we're in and enter that
Hmm.
beautiful aquarium, and let's all swim towards the light. When I lived on the Gulf Coast for years down in Mobile, and we went fishing quite a bit. I love fishing, and you would sit
Mm.
there and you would look over in the water and you'd say, "Oh my God, look at that big fish," but it wasn't. It was like 1,000 small fish that were swimming in the same pattern, and you looked like a big fish. Well,
Yep,
look at
yep.
us spiritually today. If we all did that today, we're all small fish in the Creator's aquarium. But if we were all in unity, like the Gospel of Mary speaks about, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene says a beautiful thing, that we are all one. Doesn't matter what you are. Our souls are connected. And if you talk to David in the Kabbalah and Marty Leeds within Kabbalah and all these people, you're going to find out that our souls are all connected. It's almost a
Hmm.
Borg
Hmm.
mentality within,
Yeah.
Star Trek, but it's not at the same time, because this unity is a beautiful unity. It's not a manipulative unity that we see with the Borg. But if we could join together, I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're a Buddhist, whatever. If we can join together to uplift this humanity and to elevate the Creator and elevate good works and everything, we're going to start forming that fish that looks like a huge fish. And when the
Hmm.
enemy sees the huge fish, he's not as much wanting to jump into the water with the huge fish as he is a small fish. So a lot of our strength comes in unity, and I'm afraid that's missing in a lot of our generations today. I really do.
It's interesting. You keep talking about fish in the water and swimming in the sea. I'm thinking of the Hebrew letter Nun, which is the number 50. And
Yeah.
the pictograph, if I'm interpreting it correctly, is of a fish. Is fish.
Right.
Now that's interesting to me. So if we're all fish and we're swimming in the sea, that really is saying that we're all noons, not nuns. Well, we could be nuns too, but noons. But yeah, I think that what you're saying is that we're all in this fish tank together. We really are as fish.
We are all
and
in this tank together. We are. We are, and my sign within the astronomical would be a Pisces, which of course is a fish anyway. And
so
we know the importance of the water. We know the importance of and water also represents the Torah instructions. It also represents the spirit in many ways. Water is very significant in everything that we do. Like you said, we can't live without water. Spiritually, we can't live without inspiration from the Creator. We may live, but it's going to be a very low frequency lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the message with these dreams. You and me, I was in the cave and you came up in the cave, and I was, the Creator saying, come out. And I didn't want to come out of my comfort zone. Didn't want to come out of that cave. But he was generous enough to come in there with you and I after you came in there to fellowship with us. And I think that was so we would come out together and we would do the job that he's called us to do. Now, another thing, too, when you read the book of Jasher, when you read the book, talk about Enoch, it talks about that when Enoch was upon the earth, when the people did right, when Enoch ruled and did everything, the people did what was right according to the Creator, and blessings flowed upon the earth. But Enoch decided he needed to go away for a while. He needed to go to that secret place that we all need to go at times. And the moment that he left, evil started growing upon the earth again. And basically the angels said, look, you got to go back. It's going to hell in a handbasket down there. You got to go back into your hiding and go back down here and take care of this situation. So that's exactly what happened was they came out. And when Enoch came out, we saw great things. But then again, according to the story, the myth, Enoch was taken up. And when he was taken up, as soon as it's just as the story of Jesus going up in the air, as soon as he was gone, they started doing their own thing after that. How many times do we see that? We see it. We feel a wonderful experience with the Creator or something. He does something wonderful for us, and it's good. And then all of a sudden that moment's gone. We're back to the same way we were before.
Yeah. I think we'd find everybody is in the same cave. I keep thinking of Saul. Was it Saul? Was persecuting David, and so David and a few of his guys were hiding. They were hiding in a cave, and Saul had to go in there and relieve himself. But he didn't know that they were hiding deep down into the cave. I mean, what's that saying?
Well, I think that's where David cut off the hem of his garment too, wasn't it?
It might have been. I forget a lot of details, but I thought it was kind of hilarious,
Yes. And they were way back there. That's crazy.
Isn't that something? So what's that mean? I mean, a person goes in to relieve himself in the same cave that we're in, and we're hiding deeper into it. Well, where do we go from there, huh?
Property, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then it says, if I remember correctly, Mike, is that what came to David is that this is what God had promised, that he would give him into his hand. Well, how would you know that God was going to give a particular situation into your hand when you're being urinated on, or you're urinating in a specific cave? This is a time in which there's a lot of stuff that, this is a time in which people are going to be getting rid of stuff. They're going to be urinating and they're going to find out that others are going to be hiding there too, but deeper into it. But
Right.
it's really all a part of the package, right? So those
Right.
beautiful beings can come up out of the water.
Right.
Well,
Well, this is the time.
anyways,
I mean, this is the time. I think really, you're talking about we're deep in the cave and people are urinating. You see what's going on now within the world, the pressures that are being put upon us, the fear tactics, all this junk. This is urine and poo poo being thrown our way. Basically, is what it is, and it's
yeah,
meant to break
it
us.
is.
It's meant to really break us down as human beings to the point of we don't care.
That's it.
Government, we worship you,
Hmm.
government. We want you to take care
Yep.
of us. And I think we have to
Hmm.
move back further into the cave to keep it from getting us until it's time to come out. Because
Yep.
I think the time of choosing is coming. I think the colder we start to get and the governments start doing their thing, we are going to be having to make some drastic choices within our life. And I think it's going to draw us as those people within the water were coming out. It's going to make us, it's going to make people who aren't even ready to make that decision to say, Creator, here I come. I have no other place to go. No other. You are the only thing I know that can help me. And I think that's what we're fixing to see. And I think there's people out there who have a forewarning, like Amar and Marty Leeds and you and me and David and so many people out there. I don't even want to limit it. That we are there with
Hmm.
our hands out, saying, "Come on, it's okay. Come on out. Come on out. It's good. The water's fine. We're going to be fine. It's going to be good." And I
Hmm.
think that's the
Hmm.
time that we are in now. Is we got to be more spiritual than we do physical right now, because if we're going to depend upon this physical world, this lie, this matrix that we're living in, it is going to totally collapse upon us, and we're going to be in despair. We're going to not have any hope whatsoever. So our hope has to be within the all-loving God that we seek mercy from. And I think that's a message that
Hmm.
our dreams are telling us, that there's a time coming for man that they are going to have to make a choice. They're going to have to make a choice.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I appreciate the sense of compassion in it all. The fact of the matter is God is standing outside of the cave and saying, "Well, I'll come in there. No judgment. Just okay. Well, then I'll come in there and be where you're at, whether you're deep in the cave or whether or not you're taking a leak in the cave, going to
Yeah,
the bathroom, urinating in the same cave. We are all in the same cave, believe it or not. Like we're all in the same water. And
right,
who am I to say that the next door neighbor hasn't been responding to just whatever light that they have, and say, well,
right,
you're tough luck for you, buddy. It's off to the fire pit for you. I can't do that simply because God has worked on my own heart and to say, well, I point one finger at them and there's about 15,000 fingers pointing back at me. So that's
there
the
you go.
waters of humility, the mem, and
Right,
humbling yourself, and I'm very grateful, and I'll respond and do whatever God wants me to do. Hopefully, I'll do that. But at the same time, I'm really recognizing I have to be careful so that I don't exercise judgment without compassion, as
right,
David Ben Shul says. Mercy is compassion, and you can't separate
right.
compassion from judgment. The two go hand in
No,
hand to produce something of splendor, something of
right,
beauty.
right.
And anyways, just yeah.
Well, I'm sitting in our Sukkot, which is over now, but it still stays up for us as we have the fall decorations up. And
Beautiful.
Sukkot reminds us of a place of dwelling with the Creator. And supernaturally, the more people you bring into the sukkah, it gets bigger, and there's no explanation for it. It's a
Oh,
supernatural experience. I mean, it's like
yeah.
Israel. If the stories are true, I don't know. I wasn't there in the temple. I don't know if there was a temple. I'm just saying the stories that we hear, that would have been a lot of people. I've been to Israel. It's not big. Trust me, it's not big at all. I walked the old city twice. So it's not like it would fit a whole lot of people. But when you read the scriptures, there was millions of people there. And of course, the
Wow.
supernatural explanation is God is able to expand place and time whenever He wants to do it. And I think what you said about compassion is so true. I don't. My neighbor. I got a neighbor right here who is a Baptist preacher. I got a man right here. I don't think he's religious whatsoever. I have to meet those people where they're at. I need to understand
Yeah.
what they're going through.
Yeah.
They're like you said, their dogma, their understanding of the Creator. I need to be compassionate. I don't need to go over there. You believe in Jesus? Oh, you're an idiot. You know, come on, man. That's not going to do anything. That's not compassion. I'll go to this other.
Yeah.
I'll go to this other neighbor who don't believe in anything and say, "You don't believe in God? You're already in hell. You ain't got a chance already." So you're right. Compassion is the key to this, because there's going to be coming a time probably when your enemy's going to come to your front door, and you got to make a decision. And the decision better be to take care of them, because they are part of who you are. The people that you most despise are the people that are most like you, because we are all one soul, and that you can't separate us. You cannot separate us. It's hard for people to hear. I told people sometimes, I said, I told Christians, I said, and Jews, what are you going to do when you get up to heaven and the person that you hate the most is sitting right there next to you? You're going to have to eat it up and take it up and say, I love you, brother, because that's the way it's going to have to be. And I know that's a sarcastic attitude, but it's true. We need to start making peace and compassion now upon this earth. I believe God is calling people right now to be compassionate, because I believe the things that are fixing to happen, there's a lot of people that don't understand how to store up food, how to store up medical supplies, how to be self-dependent. And God has given us a gift to understand compassion, to be able to help, to teach, to show, to be there for people in their time of need. We're beyond, yes, we need to be spiritual, not maybe teaching spiritual, but being spiritual to show them the true teachings of what spirituality is all about at this time that we're living in.
There was a show on TV called The West Wing, and a couple of firefighters, they're going in and they're going to, I might have told you this, but I'll reiterate it again for the viewers, and that one individual had fallen into a pit, and he was in this pit, and his buddy comes running by, and he says, I can't, there's no way out of here. Just go, save yourself. Next thing you know, he hears a boom, and there's his buddy standing next to him. He says, I told you there's no way out of here. Go save yourself. He says, well, I've been here before. I know how to get out. And I think that's, a people who actually suffer with other people and who can relate to their trials and their tribulations are the ones that can really be there. And a fragrance goes forth, which I think is appreciative of God, that Hashem, God, appreciates that and can see that. And who's to say that it hasn't been the inner workings of God within all of that mess? And I've got a mess. I've had messes, and I know you've had them too, Mike. And everybody's got a mess. Right. And so, maybe it's just a question of, I don't understand what you've gone through, but I'm standing with you. I'm standing with you, and I'm here for you in any way that I can. If I can't say anything or do anything, just know that I'm standing with you. And I know lots of people like that. I don't understand, what's going on with them, but the neighbor next door and what they've done and all of that kind of thing. But maybe as we just rub shoulders and just develop our sense of community with the people that are around us, and without judging them, but discerning and just being there with them to help them in any way you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes they just have to go their own journey and do what they do. But with that type of an attitude, I think you'll find that there's a sense of camaraderie that begins to develop, a sense of appreciation, because you begin to tear down a lot of those religious walls and that snobbish type of an attitude that says, hey, I'm better than you, and all of that kind of thing. But, how are all the nations going to be blessed unless we're willing to be a uterus? You add the hey onto the end of Abraham, which is, it's a feminine term. It's a female. It's giving birth as a uterus. If we're not going to be uteruses, like my friend David says, then how can we really give birth and give birth in other people's lives and help them? Sometimes I think we are probably meant to be midwives to bring forth what's really within people, and that takes time. Sometimes we have to draw them out of the water, like drawing Moses out of the water and the waters of the difficulty, and bring them forth into all that God has for each and every particular individual. So maybe we're meant to be with midwives. I feel like that.
That's a good. I've not heard that before, but that's a very good analogy of what we're talking about here. Is I think we're at the time now to surrender our boxes and surrender our ego, and to the point of pouring our lives out to other people and meeting them where they're at. Where if my neighbor over here, and I don't know this, so don't judge it, but if he's a drunk beating his wife, I have to be compassionate enough to stand in and try to help. But as you said,
Yeah.
there may be places where I can't help him at, and I have to let him go. That's okay. But there are many people that we will be able to help, and the good thing is we're not getting them to wear our T-shirt saying we are a part of this team, and we want you to be a part of this team. No, we want to meet you at physically as a human being to help you get through the things that we're going through. I mean, the towns that I work in over down here in Georgia, the unemployment is ridiculous, and there's so
Yeah.
much employment out there that makes any sense to you that my restaurants cannot even get enough people to working. So that tells me there's people out either not making
Yeah.
money or something. So there's going to come to a point where people are going to start needing food, starving. And at that point, we have to be out there to teach them, yes, give them food, but teach them how to prepare for themselves and stuff too. Just like spiritually, physically, we have to be ready, be unselfish, and be very compassionate in our approach to people. And that's the only way it's going to work. And I don't care if they know me as a Christian, Jew, Sikh, Buddhist. I don't care what you call me. I just want to be a compassionate human being towards you to help you get through the circumstances that you're in. That's all. My goal in life is if I leave you and you're not smiling, I have failed as a human being, because that's my promise to God, is to try to leave everybody smiling in some way, forgetting their problems for 10 seconds if they have to 10 seconds. And that should be all of our motivation. I'm not wanting you to come join my church or visit my church or come to my meetings, or I don't. That's manipulation. God don't work through manipulation. But I believe there's a time coming, and it's here now, that we need to be that coming out of the water and then grabbing those. Tom, there was a guy named Keith Green back in the 80s. He was a Christian singer during the Jesus hippie movement. He was the most powerful Christian singer probably around at the time. It really irritated people that he was so direct in his message. But he died. And one of the he had a William Booth had a dream before he created the Salvation Army, and Keith Green saw the vision, heard the vision, and had a picture painted in modern times of this dream. And basically, you see a storm, waves tossing, people in the water start, drowning with their hands up, and you had this big pier, and you had these people fishing and playing and dancing, but you had a few people throwing life vest out, reaching their arms out with sticks and stuff, trying to save it. And I believe that's where we are right now. We either have those that are helping or those that are hurting. And I truly want to be on the side of helping. And I know that's not just ego, because ego would be the best thing to stay out of the way and let things happen as they are. But I believe the time is to call people out, come out of that cave that we're talking about. I know God came in, but I think it's going to be time for us to come out of that cave, come out of that water, and really be the arms and feet that the Creator needs us to be to help people get through this very dark time that we're in now. I really do.
And who knows, the thing that Moses was in, that container, that little, how it was made, and I don't know what all of that stuff means, but who knows that as a midwife, who knows who we're going to be helping and the destiny that they have on their own life to draw them out of the waters of difficulty, and how they're going to help other people. And if you take a step back at it, can we help someone to bring them out and to help them out of their cave, their thing that they're floating around in this water? Because who knows, we might be pulling out some real powerful individuals that are going to really bring some effective changes in life with other people, to deliver other people.
Well,
who knows?
You coming to bail me out, or I may be coming to bail you out. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're
right.
at. Is we don't know. We don't know. We just don't know. But we need to be ready. And Tom, we're running out of time. But I appreciate this time. I appreciate you sharing your dreams and your compassion. And that's one thing about Tom. He's got a very soft, compassionate heart. And when I'm more of not that way sometimes, but I'm working on it. See, I want to yell at the dog. I'm not going to yell at the dog. I'm not going to yell at the dog.
There's your.
We really need to solve. At the time, we really need to be purified with things that are happening. You know, it's easy to sit there and watch politics and watch this stuff happen. But I think we need to turn some of it off sometime and get involved with helping people like we talked about. Be more compassionate, be more out there with people than we are sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Phrase comes to me, be the change that you desire.
Yes, that's good. That is good. So until next time, Tom will be back. I want to make him a weekly feature. I want to have him on weekly. So he needs to have more dreams. More dreams, Tom.
I've got another one that goes along with these too. So I saw. Oh yeah. But
anyways, we'll get together next week and do this again. And but I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on here and what you shared, because you share so much, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Love you.
Shabbat Shalom to all. If you don't do Shabbat Shalom, it's okay. Do what you do. We don't care.
Just do what you do.
Have a wonderful time and that's it. And maintain that relationship with the Creator above all things. Mm-hmm. Until next time, thank you so much.
There you go. Yeah.